Good to be in Albury today, getting out of the gale force winds in Tasmania. This is my first Wines and Wines event. We'll be making some forward-looking statements today. We'll be arm waving a lot. This is designed to be a very broad, sort of high-level talk, just to cover some key salient points of why we're exploring in Tasmania. I'll be skipping over a lot of technical detail, but I'll be happy to discuss any topics later on if anyone's interested. A quick introduction to Copper Corp. Many people here may not know who we are. It's a company listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the Venture Exchange, but we are solely focused in Tasmania. We hold two large district scale exploration tenement packages on the west coast of Tasmania, focusing on two belts, the Arthur Lineament or the Arthur Metamorphic Complex and the Mount Reid volcanic belt. Just a quick plug for Tasmania. It really is a good place to be exploring. Excellent geology. It's a proven polymetallic mineral province. At least 5 world-class multi-decade mines there, established infrastructure. It's got a 150-year mining and exploration history. Embedded ESG, it's the only 100% renewable state in Australia, and it's also got a very mining supportive government. We find that exploration permitting there is really good. 1 to 2 months you can get a drill program approved and up and running. A quick overview of what are IOCGs. The strict definition of an IOCG is 10 to 20% magnetite, hematite, that's the iron oxide, with hopefully copper and gold. You also have other end members associated with a much larger group these days. The iron oxide apatite, this is mainly just magnetite iron ores. And then there's a whole plethora of associated deposits which have different grades of copper and gold. Some have none, some have trace, and a whole different suite of elements that can occur in these systems and can be up to ore grade. So they occur in very large district scale iron oxide alkali alteration systems, and I'll get into that a bit further on later. Generally a close temporal, but not always spatial association with intrusives. Very strong structural controls are highly important. Deep sea magnetic structures and breccias, a common feature of IOCG deposits. Typically, an economic mine would be in the order of 100 to 500 million tonnes at these sort of copper and gold grades, so they're very attractive exploration targets. So IOCG, IOA deposits, they occur in large iron oxide alkali calcic or iron oxide alkali systems. These are typically regional scale, and they evolve over time from hot, saline, reduced fluids that travel up and outwards, and depending on the host rocks, they interact with different structures, different inputs from seawater or other meteoric inputs. You will get a whole range of different types of IOA and IOCG deposits and affiliated deposits. So it really is a big bucket, but this is a key thing to keep in mind. It's just an evolving system over time. There are distinct alteration facies that you can map based on this system that's been developed by Corvaux and others. This forms mappable criteria which you can assess the mineral potential and potential pathways to finding ore. So this is just another recap of that. So many different models these days of IOCG systems. They all pretty much say the same thing. evolving upwards and outwards, systems, different orations. They're all saying the same thing fairly much. So. They occur worldwide and over probably 6 or 7 main temporal events. The key point here is there is a known event in the early Cambrian which is associated with the Delamerian Tyanan orogeny, and that's associated with the breakup of Rodinia, I believe. So the setting of where we are, we're in the west coast of Tasmania, is in the Delamerian orogeny of Australia. So this is the first subduction phase in the Tasmanides. We're exploring the 2 belts, the Mount Reid volcanics related to a post-subduction extensional volcanic basin, and the AMC belt is a high strain metamorphic belt which was developed on the far western side of the allothnous blocks that were abducted onto the Proterozoic basement in the early Cambrian. So the essential model is a east-dipping subduction zone that had back thrusting and abduction of ultramafic and potonitic and other sequences up onto these Proterozoics. That didn't last too long. It was only 5 to 10 million years of subduction, and then that failed. The theory is there was slab rollback, and that formed the extensional basin, which the Mount Reid volcanics came in. There were Cambrian intrusive phases came in with that, and probably sourced a lot of the mineralisation that we see there today. Following that, there was during the latest Cambrian, there was a very strong phase of deformation. The Proterozoic was uplifted. There's studies now that show that there's Proterozoic basement uplifted now on surface that was buried at 80 kilometres deep. That east-west compression event reactivated a lot of the original basin rift structures and caused a lot of folding. So we think that the mineralisation event was probably still active at that time and probably also into the earliest Ordovician. So just a quick recap again, two projects, the AMC, and I'll just be going briefly over these. AMC and Skyline. So both of these belts have large-scale mines in them. In the AMC, there's the large Savage River magnetite mine. That's at least definitely over 500 million tonnes of around 40% recoverable magnetite. It's commonly considered these days to be a Karuna-style IOA analogue. And then we have the Mount Lyell camp in the Mount Reeds. 3 million tonnes of contained copper and about 3 million ounces of contained gold. So there are big deposits. Just quickly, this is the size of the prize that we're looking for, just to show that there are big deposits down there. The Savage River ore body is still open at depth. It goes to at least 600 metres from surface, up to 40 to 100 metres wide in the main ore zone. A series of ore bodies along 6 kilometres of strike length. Highly deformed strain zones. Typical alteration is albitite. There's also amphibole, serpentinite alteration. What does Mount Lyell look like? Well, it's not one ore body, it's a series of multiple ore bodies. There's one large one, which is the Prince Lyell ore body. That's over 100 million tonnes at around 1.2% copper. And then there's a series of smaller ore bodies, and these all have different characteristics and different sizes. Some of these are still open at depth, like Western Tharsis, and maybe some of these. There's quite a lot of potential for big tonnage below these if the current owners ever get around to drilling it out. Alteration-wise, at depth in the Prince Lyre, we're looking at deeper chlorite, magnetite, biotite, fangite alteration assemblies, so hotter and more reduced fluids. As you progress upwards, a lot of these other ones are high sulfidation epithermal style alteration with porphyroite, muscovite, and even as you go further up into the highest part of the system, you get advanced argillic style alteration. So a quick look at skyline. We're on the eastern margin of the Mount Reid volcanics. This is the Tyanan Proterozoic block here. Major structural fault here, which is the Tyanan margin fault. North-south faults are the subduction parallel faults, key focusing fluids, and also these transverse style northwest trending faults seem to be important for focusing mineralisation as well. We've got 4 large-scale mines within 10 kilometres of all our tenements. The belt of intrusive rocks, the spine of Cambrian intrusions that underlies the eastern margin of the belt, and these magnetic features here are mostly all magnetite alteration features extending all the way up the side of the belt, and this is where we're focusing on IOCG style. So this is explained here again. This is the Cambrian granites at depth up on the eastern side. They seem to be related, or sourcing a magmatic hydrothermal system that's sourcing probably at least Mount Lyell and some of these other ones, and even coming up structures and having relations to the VMS deposits on the eastern side of the western side of the belt. We're not dealing with entirely new concepts. This magmatic hydrothermal relationship has been proposed by Ross Large and co. as early as 1996. I think Ross is here today. So lucky I put this one in. Basically proposed that he recognised the deep parts of Mount Lyell essentially have relations to some of the mineralisation that you see deeper and closer to the granite. There was also further work done by Bill Wyman in 2001, and then there's been a few honours projects since then, but pretty understudied really. Our main exploration focus at the moment is the southern skyline belt, what we call Razorback. We're proving up that this trend, this is Mount Lyell Monolith here in the north. We hold all this ground to the east and the south. We're proving up that this alteration and mineralisation zone keeps extending south from Mount Lyell. It's controlled by north-south faults. We're finding more and more of these directly related to mineralisation, and also very interesting relationships with the northwest trending transverse style faults. I could go into a lot more detail on that, but probably no need. There is this area is really can classify this as underexplored. Some drilling in the early 70s and 80s, a little bit in the 2000s, but probably less. You'd be lucky to have 10,000 metres of drilling throughout this whole belt. Yeah, so we think there's good discovery potential here. Just some of our targets, so gravity and magnetics, proven alteration zones, lots of historical mines, copper gold mines. We've recently done adit sampling at Jukes, and we're getting results like 31 metres at 1.5% copper and nice gold. We'll be following up on this. I think the drill rig's mobilising the site today, actually. Nice IOCG style magnetic gravity, kind of coincident to offset anomalies that we're going to focus on doing more work on those. So some of the things we've been working on is 3D inversion models of gravity and magnetic data, helping us to really get more confidence in what we're targeting. And given that there's good mineralisation at surface, good alteration at surface around these, we'll be definitely consider these as priority target zones that we will be following up. In the south end at Darwin, we have not really gravity, but there's below not interesting drilling results, shallow drilling results. We do have a large, like structurally controlled magnetic feature at depth. Interesting results at surface, and in particular, lots of rare earth elements in this setting. So flipping over to the Arthea lineament, it's probably about 100 kilometres long. As I said, it's a metamorphic strain belt, Cambrian age. Large Savage River mine is in the centre. We hold all the ground around it. There's an alpine prospect here, IOCG style copper mineralisation. And throughout the belt, there's a lot of coincident mag and gravity targets that we're slowly working up, which is probably not the easiest place to access, which is probably why it's really underexplored. But definite discovery potential. Alpine's probably the most advanced prospect there, over about 10,000 metres of drilling in stages since the 1980s. There's a good amount of copper defined there, over 600 metres strike length to 400 metres depth. It's totally open at depth. Hopefully we'll be drilling deeper there at some stage. We drilled here in 2023, 2022, putting together, refining our model, and as you can see here, a lot of our latest, probably 4 of our latest 6 holes hit reasonable grade copper. And at the moment we're just refining some of our structural models around this to refine our targeting. It's very complex geology. So again, magnetic gravity signatures at Alpine. Just what you look for. So a key exploration tool for IOCG style deposits. All right, so what's the IOCG? What do we think? So we've done some work, alteration, using this alteration facies concept, and yes, we do see a lot of the alteration facies that you would expect in IOCG systems. That does seem to be a continuum, and the blue ones here are prospects, targets within Coppercorp's ground. These are all the Mount Lyell ones, which form probably the upper level of this kind of system. So an IOC-IOA-like system. You see a lot of textures that do support IOCG. There is other data coming out that helping us to support it as well. We're not married to the model. We also keep our eye out for porphyries and other things like that, and hybrid deposits. So deep level in the systems, we see the high temperature calcium iron, but mainly the high temperature potassic iron and iron potassic. So this varies from how much K feldspar and biotite you might have. It becomes more magnetite dominant as you get closer to the ore. There is zonation there. Lots of really spectacular breccias. They're widespread across all of that southern district, particularly around and above these Cambrian intrusives. So this is K feldspar alteration with tourmaline magnetite matrix breccias, probably biotite in there as well. These are overprinted by a stage of magnetite stockwork veining, variable intensity, and that goes up and that gets more intense, and then you get the massive magnetite, pyrite, apatite style mineralisation. That commonly has, both of these two have commonly significant rare earth content at South Darwin, and then when you hit the structures, or near and around structures, you get the copper coming in at an even later phase So it's very classic ICG sort of timing event. Next phase is the lower temperature iron potassic, so chlorite magnetite. This is the main phase of alteration of Prince Lyell, so 100 million tonnes of this stuff is the main ore body. This is an example from Duke's prospect, which is very similar, so we think we're in a similar level there. Again, Mount Lyell, you progress from that deeper style up into muscovite, so fengite. This is White-Micas, fengite, muscovite and porphyroite. So there's just going up the system. I have to skip over a few slides here. RE associations at South Darwin, as I suggested. We see allanite with the rare earths. This is not an uncommon feature of IOCG deposits, and there's a list there of some of the deposits where you see allanite as a key component of rare earth anomalism. So again, this is a regional model we're working on. This is a work in progress, but our theory is we're kind of seeing a tilted system. You see the deeper level parts of the system in the south, and you progress north, you see generally higher levels in the system. Some people do propose that there's porphyry systems down there, and there could be. Really, it's not. It's unknown. So, discharge, large structures focusing alteration, discharge zones, pipe-like ore bodies. We think there's lots of discovery potential there. Savage River again, classic IOCG, Savage River Alpine, Savage River IOA style, magnetite, dominant, overprinting magnetite, chalcopyrite, and then your classic hematite. These are some of the breccia styles you see at Alpine. Very, very nice looking. So summary, we've been working on this part of the district between 1 and 2 years. We're advancing our models, doing a lot of technical work in the background. We do think there's evidence for an iron oxide alkali IOCG system there. We're very encouraged by what we're seeing. So we're going to be continuing boots on the ground. It's one of our biggest strategies. Mapping, sampling, technical knowledge. As I said, starting to drill at Alpine. Looking at doing detailed gravity surveys, magnetics, electrical surveys, so geophysicists come and see me, please. And we hope to attract some deep pockets to help fund us. And of course, this is not all my work, there's a big team behind me. And that's it, thank you.